content creation never stops, I think. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm so glad that you are spending time here on this stage in our discussions. Alex and Daniela, how are you finding your day so far?
Excellent.
Amazing.
Did you get your hair and makeup done?
Yes, I did.
I did not.
Well, next time that's for you. I like to have more of a fun conversation with our founders. So break down, what does a typical morning look like for you before we get into the AI and the conversation as to why we're actually here?
What does a morning look like?
A typical morning.
You wake up with digesting emails from 3 time zones already. I live in Washington now. I used to live in the West Coast. So it's either you're digesting the European emails or the East Coast emails, or you're always digesting customers. It's to be on 12 hours, 14 hours a day. Yeah.
And Alex?
Yeah, for me it's the same, except it starts with 3 kids jumping on the bed at 6 a.m. And
yes.
No AI has enabled me to solve that issue yet. But then just after, back to hundreds of emails of the night from the US and other places in the world.
I mean, don't both of you eat breakfast? Coffee and tea? Don't you start the day with some energy, or is it just, I'm a business person and let's go, go, go?
Sometimes, when I have time. I skip breakfast a lot.
Yeah, no breakfast.
Not coffee, though. I don't skip coffee.
No breakfast.
It's interesting because I've interviewed over 500 founders now, and ironically, most successful founders don't eat breakfast, which I don't recommend, but I think you put on stage to be like, if you want to be a booming business, maybe skip breakfast and go straight to emails. We're here talking about AI. I'd love to know, when did you first understand AI or get into AI? And then we'll get into your business journey. Daniela?
When did I start understanding AI?
Yeah.
23 years ago.
23 years ago.
That's a long story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Alex?
Actually, it was, since I started the company, everything was driven towards, whether it was AI, machine learning, now Gen AI, everything. It was always, centered with the support of AI.
And for people here in the room, I'd love to see a show of hands. Who here is still learning about AI? Just show of hands, right? That's a big majority of the room, and thank you for being honest and brave. So for people who are learning about AI or Gen AI, what are some tools, resources, books, podcasts, hashtags that you would recommend?
I recommend the Wall Street Journal Tech News, which is a Spotify podcast. It's very focused on AI, and it's daily. There's a new AI podcast that takes 5 minutes. That takes 20 minutes. It's a digest of 20 minutes. It's very focused on the US market, obviously. There's an Adepto new digest that I am following. 5 minutes read or listening on Spotify as well. I prefer to hear than to read. I don't know about you.
Well, I prefer to read. So the first thing I would recommend is a book called The Age of AI, which is co-authored by Eric Schmidt, which I think is mind-blowing. The second thing is I would recommend for everyone to have ChatGPT open all day long and try things, ask questions. I think is an amazing way of learning. And maybe for the disruption, read a book which has nothing to do with AI, but it's about disruption. Is Only the Paranoid Survive, which enables you to understand how to, when there is a technological disruption in the industry, how do business not only survive but thrive.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I love to make our sessions quite informative for those who have attended. So, talking about AI, tell us how to use AI in your businesses and how have you seen it improve efficiencies, but also what are some of the challenges that have occurred? Alex, do you want to go first?
So, the way we use it on the product dev side, the tech, our engineers use it, and it makes actually using Gen AI made them 40% more efficient in writing codes. That's the first thing. We use it on productivity tools like summary of meetings, analysis of data, writing letters to shareholders, for example. And then for our business, for our product, for our customers, we've always integrated machine learning and AI, and now we're integrated Gen AI in our workflow for our business, which is how can we automate visual creation at scale for e-com, and it's part of the stack now.
Thank you.
We are the largest marketplace of training data for AI. So we actually enable all the big builders of AI, like the likes of Amazon and IBM and Microsoft and Meta, to build these large products for millions of users on your phones, on your smart speakers, on your smart TVs, smart cars, etc. But as internally, all our production line of data, so there's 3 types of data we carry: real-world data, simulated data, and synthetic data. So you can imagine that there are processes of pre-processing automatically every single aspect of the data. Speech recognition to accelerate the transcription of audio, or object recognition to accelerate the labeling of video. So it's AI all over the board, and we now are incorporating some of the marketing new tools that allow you to create videos in 5 minutes without a marketing team, that allow you to narrate a video without hiring a voice talent.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing you say is you use AI for accessibility, for efficiency, and just to test out the market, right? Go and use creatively. I love the fact, Daniela, that you've said the word creative. The reason why I say that is because a lot of the time we think people who are in tech aren't creative. And yet I think people who are in tech are one of the most creative people in the world. We are always breaking things. If anything, I'm very good at breaking things, because then you have to figure out how to fix it. Mm-hmm. You have to solve new real-world problems, and you have to think creatively. Outside of being creative, what do you think are the skills that people need to be able to thrive in this industry, especially when there's such a fear around using AI and when there's such a worry around what and how AI will take over our jobs?
It's not AI who's going to take over our jobs. It's the people who use AI who will take over our jobs. So it's really adopting and starting to master tools, just like now we cannot navigate without a GPS, we cannot write a text without a spell checker, we cannot come to Lisbon without probably pulling a Google Translator. It's going to be the same across every aspect of our lives. So it's the people who know AI that will take over our jobs.
Yeah, I believe AI is just going to become a commodity. It's a revolution, like electricity was a revolution, internet was a revolution. In 5 years, in 10 years, everything will be supported by AI. You write an email, it will be supported by AI. You do a presentation, and it's not about if it's taking our jobs. It's going to be a commodity that anyone needs to be using in order to have superpowers. And just recently, a BCG report showed that their employees using AI, Gen AI, were 40% more efficient, and their presentation and their skills were 40% better than the others. So it's not about replacing them; it's about empowering them even more.
I love that. So using AI to create efficiencies, to manage your workload, and to solve problems. I definitely want to touch on the fear of AI. I also want to touch on the challenges of AI. But one thing you said was that it creates efficiencies, and also it's the people that learn how to use AI. But what we often forget is the data itself has biases, because the people creating whatever it might be, the input, are biased innately. How do we reduce those biases so that the output is actually diverse, it's inclusive, it's accessible, and it truly meets the requirements of our end user, which is the ordinary customer trying to be extraordinary?
In 3 ways. First, it starts on the data that feeds the models. The data has to be representative of all the diversity, the demographic brackets that represent the product and the population. Then the design team of the machine learning application. It's most of the times male dominated, and it just doesn't. It's never thought to a user that is going to be female or ethnically diverse. And finally, it's in the testing side. Model testing and reinforcement learning with feedback loop is something that it's a buzzword now. A lot of people are trying to do it. It's with people in the loop, and it needs to be with a diverse. The set of people that is testing needs to be as diverse as the training data that fed it. Not everybody's doing that, though, unfortunately, not yet.
Of course. Alex?
Yeah, from my perspective, so I agree 100%, but there are two things. So first of all, this problem of the data set has been through for dozens of years with Google and the analytics and statistics already. Second, AI is not magic. Data is science, and it's as good as the data set. So the accuracy as the data set is key. It's key to be efficient, and as part of the accuracy is how diverse and non-biased it can be. And it's the responsibility of every business owner that's going to create or adapt, AI tools for its own business to make sure that the data set they use is, accurate. And part of the accuracy, again, is being non-biased.
So what I've really taken away from that is AI is not magic. It is a science. 2, AI is not going to take your job roles, but the people who are able to use AI and use it in their everyday tasks might. And 3, ultimately, we need everyone to get into areas where they're using AI so that we can diversify their data so that we can have an inclusive, accessible, representative output. Do you think AI is cheating?
Is heating?
Cheating.
Oh, cheating.
Do you think you are cheating by using AI?
No.
Alex is smiling. Why are you smiling?
It's exactly, for me, it's if you say, hey, when you're using a calculator, you're cheating. I mean, it's just a tool that enables you to do more things and better, more accurately, and hopefully, take away some burdensome tasks. No one is going on a paper with a pen and doing multiplications anymore. Well, it's exactly the same thing from my standpoint for AI.
Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean,
audience,
it's
show of hands. Who thinks AI is cheating? Everyone's like, well, kind of, but after Daniel and Alex said this, I can't really put my hand up anymore. I love that for you. I saw a couple of giggles, so I'm crazy. I'm glad. Do you think AI gets goosebumps? Do you think you can really ever replace a human with AI or generative AI? Do you think it can feel the way that we feel?
That is a philosophical question. We are at the AGI phase, so artificial general intelligence, meaning AI is at the level of humans at this point with ChatGPT, for example, and probably faster. Actually, produces an essay faster than we can right now on ChatGPT. The next level is the sentient AI. Is the AI that, in the theory, right? In the theory of human development, technology development, where AI will have emotions, will recognize emotions. Right now, everything is mimicking the behavior of humans. I don't know. I think we're very close to starting to understand the human brain with AI than we were 10 years ago. And the human brain is where emotions happen. We haven't yet quite understood that world, but it is interesting that the same voyage we're doing outwards in the universe, we're now starting to do inwards in the human brain.
Absolutely. And so we're getting there. It doesn't have goosebumps yet, but we're not far off from AI being able to mimic human emotions. And really that's because, from my understanding, we're starting to look within and we're thinking about how is this impacting us as everyday human people? And also, what does this mean for us? Fear. There is a lot of fear when it comes to AI. There is a lot of fear, not only using AI, learning about AI, being a person in AI. AI seems to be a scary word right now. And yet, all of our panels at Web Summit are basically filled with AI, right? It seems a little bit like a juxtaposition. People are scared, and yet there's never been more conversation, companies, businesses, individuals around AI. What are your thoughts around this fear of AI?
The fear is lack of information. It's always coming from lack of information. But there is a real threat if we don't put guardrails in AI, especially when it gets to millions of users, billions of users. So, but at the same time, AI is getting demystified. It's getting on everyone's pocket. People are starting to see the productivity increase. So I think we're in a very interesting time of juncture.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a lack of education, a lack of information, and a fear of disruption. I think, but I think that any tools, any technology, if it has no limits, is dangerous. Now, does it mean that we should not invest a ton and all shift to AI? No, we definitely need. I think the biggest danger is for part of the population being left because are not as invested or interesting or using AI. Today, you don't see so much of the discrepancy. In 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, this is going to be massive. So it's our responsibility to educate, to empower everyone to use AI for its own purposes.
So it's our responsibility to educate ourselves on AI. It's our responsibility to go and start using AI. And it's our responsibility to really create efficiencies in our everyday lives by incorporating AI, and therefore we can build on it. We've got 5 minutes left. I really want to touch on how you're using AI within your business. So do you have any positive use cases that you'd like to share with us? As in how you've used AI to be that create efficiencies or create content, or any successful shareholder emails and bid emails that you might want to give us as a template so that we could raise that investment and get those bucks as well.
Well, I think I touched some points, but essentially in all the, we use AI to recognize, for example, one piece of our data sets is large podcasts, thousands of hours of podcast data across 20 languages. Those podcast data are useful for speech recognition training models, but they are only useful if they are transcribed and diarized, which is identification of one speaker and when they overlap or not. That is the introduction of speech recognition tools before to accelerate transcription and have human validation after gives 99% of accuracy in the transcription, which is what is useful for the quality of the data.
Thank you.
For us at Infinite, so what we do is we enable brands and retailers to create unlimited product visual experiences for all their channels. Now, today, the issue for this large enterprise working in retail is they have hundreds of thousands or sometimes millions of SKUs of products. So how do you, enable them to do that? So what we did is we used AI to transform information that they got from hundreds of thousands of suppliers into a clean, usable data set that then they can use to automatically create a product detail page that is complete, immersive, and consistent for all their channels. Without AI and technology, it would have been completely impossible. So this is the massive gain we are using from AI for our customers.
I love that. So again, we're really touching on understanding your customer, figuring out that market fit, solving a problem, bringing a mass amount of information and making it digestible, but also being able to then output what is relevant. I want to know, what are some of your predictions when it comes to the future of Gen AI, AI in general? In quick, brief summaries, what do you think we should be both excited and challenged by in the next 5 years?
I think Gen AI we'll be able to people who don't know how to code will be able to create a programming language by using natural language that will be translated into code. We will be able to get into a product like Adobe and tell, I would like to change to the this PowerPoint with a background that with a white sand beach and with a storm, by the way, and this cloud here, and you will be able to tell that through voice or text, and the change in the PowerPoint in your content that you created will happen. You'll be able to even say, now I want to introduce the sound of nature here and music of this sort. This is how everything will be voice enabled or text enabled in every area of our productivity. I just use some productivity tools, but it will be the same in interacting with your home, with your phone, with your car, with your...
So interactions, speaking it, saying it out loud, and it kind of magically appearing. Alex, what about yourself?
So for me, I believe we're in 1995. We're at the beginning of the internet era, and this is what we're doing with AI. It will disrupt and transform how we are living on a daily basis, how we are working, how we're interacting with others. But this is extraordinarily exciting. It will not replace us. It will just change the way we are, on an everyday basis working and living for a better outcome.
Well, one thing I've really taken away from this conversation is that we are at the beginning of our journey. Don't be afraid to get into AI. We are in an industry that is actually ready for disruption. It's all about making sure that you have a defined problem, figuring out how to solve it using AI, not being afraid to fail, not being afraid of failure, not being afraid of the fear, doing it anyway, making sure that you think of AI not as magic, but as a tool that can create efficiencies in processes, and then just going for it. If you don't know what you don't know, we have some great recommendations for books, podcasts, obviously following the right hashtags, and you're showing up to Web Summit anyway. And I would really encourage you to connect with our speakers because they know what they're talking about, given not only they're on stage, but they have built companies that are fixing real-time problems. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Sonya Barlow. You can connect with us all over our apps, take pictures and tag us on socials. And please, a big round of applause to our panelists who have graced us here today.